I remember the sound first. Not a voice or wind, but the sound of seeing. It came after the marble split open in my palm, when the air grew heavy and the alley bowed backward into itself like a throat swallowing light. The world had tilted then, and an archway of black stone rose where the dumpster had been, glistening as though it was wet with oil. Its curve was impossible, not made of lines but of intention. And I, the fool I am, stepped through. Now, if I close my eyes, I can still feel the moment the color left me. I crossed a threshold and the world beyond it breathed in a shade I did not know existed. A white not of purity but of absence. The trees there were tall and skeletal, their bark pale as porcelain, their leaves translucent, humming faintly as if whispering to one another in a language of glass. The soil beneath my feet was soft, a luminous ash that clung to my boots like silk. There was no sky, only a vault of pearlescent fog that pulsed very faintly like the underside of some great sleeping creature. I should have turned back. I told myself this with each step, and yet I walked deeper. I think part of me already knew that to look upon something so divine is to forfeit the idea of return. The forest breathed slowly. The trees expanded with the motion, a ripple of air that moved between their trunks like the inhalation of a god. And somewhere in that rhythm came a new sound, a rustle, delicate as lace, and then the click of something joined, precise and patient. It was watching me long before I saw it. At first, I mistook the light moving behind the trees, a shimmer, perhaps a trick of distance. And then the shimmer blinked. Two pale orbs the size of lanterns, each faceted like crystal, regarded me from the gloom. And then it moved, and all illusions of human proportion shattered. The creature unfolded. It was long and tall and thin, its limbs moving with the slow grace of ritual. Its body was neither wholly flesh nor wholly armor. Plates of ivory and glass interlocked like cathedral windows, flexing with hidden strength. Its head, crowned with serrated crests, tilted as if in curiosity, and its eyes reflected me in 1,000 perfect fragments. A mantis, yes, but only in shape, in spirit. It was something much older, something the insects had once imitated when the universe was still molten and dreaming. It came forward. I should tell you that I ran, but I didn't. I could not. The moment I met its gaze, my will unraveled like a thread in fire. I felt seen, not as a person, but as a concept being read. It looked at me and I understood that I was not a mind inhabiting flesh, but a sequence, a geometry of memory. And it began to move closer, elegant as the swing of a pendulum. Each step was a sermon. Its forelegs, scythes of bone tipped in pearl, folded and unfurled as if in prayer. It carried itself like a dancer before an altar, silent save for the soft rasp of its place shifting. When it passed between two trees, the trees bent toward it, their branches bowing like supplicants. The entire forest seemed to worship in its wake. I whispered something, I don't remember what. A plea, perhaps, or thanks, and it heard me. The creature stopped, and from its chest came a vibration that shivered the air. A resonance, deep and ancient, pressing through my ribs into the marrow beneath. I tasted copper and honey on my tongue. The forest brightened around us, each leaf glowing faintly, as though lit from within by an unseen sun. And then it spoke in shapes of thought, images pressed into the mind like seals on wax. A vast plain of white, a sky of infinite mirrors, and within it, a hunger. A hunger so perfect it resembled grace. I understood, in some fractured way, that this being was not malevolent. It simply was. A law older than mercy, a god not of death, but of consumption and transfiguration. I took a step back. The world behind me flickered. I could still see the archway, distant and small, a darksome mouth set among the white trees. But when I turned again, it had vanished. The creature tilted its head once more. It extended one limb, slow and ceremonial, and brushed the tip of its foreclaw against my chest. And I saw the truth of its world, endless and white, unbound by time, filled with motion like the turning of vast unseen gears. I saw shapes like itself moving through that expanse. Mantis forms, serpentine forms, all made of the same living ivory, each one a verse in an unending hymn. They did not eat or sleep or love. They remembered. They consumed only to preserve, translating what they touched into light. And then I saw Earth, my world, as a faint, flickering bruise in the white expanse, a wound in eternity. I fell to my knees, and the creature lowered its head toward me, antennae brushing the air inches from my face. I felt their heat, a radiant cold, paradoxical and impossible. It exhaled, and the air smelled of rain and salt and the hollow sweetness of dying flowers. I asked it, "Why me?" Its answer was an image, a hand lifting a black marble, the shimmer of curiosity, the brief flash of wonder. "You called me," it seemed to say. And in that instant I remembered the moment before, the marble's pulse, the archway's rise, and realized that my curiosity had not been my own, but a whisper placed within me, perhaps by it, perhaps by something deeper still. The white forest dimmed, its glow sinking into the soil. Shadows had begun to move along the trees, flowing upward like spilled ink. The creature's wings unfolded, two translucent veils, enormous and silent, veined with patterns that shifted like constellations rearranging. It rose above me, towering. The hum of its divinity filled the forest, each vibration a note in a symphony of extinction. I could feel the sound pulling at me, unraveling the boundaries of skin and thought alike. I tried to scream, but my voice dissolved into that light. My body began to change. Not pain, not exactly, but a revelation. Every cell opened, every memory bled into the air. I could see the patterns of my own being, spirals and sigils forming from the architecture of my life. The creature watched, serene, and I became translucent. Through my dissolving senses, I perceived what it did with the things it took. It archived them in light. Every devoured thing became a new color in its spectrum, a new world in its infinite scripture. I wept, because beauty in its purest form is unbearable. The creature lowered again, its eyes reflecting my vanishing shape, and in those mirrors I saw countless others, men, women, children, all rendered in white, all suspended in poses of awe. They were not dead. They were preserved. I reached out my hand. It met my gesture with one claw, the tip as delicate as a breath. And for a moment we touched, and I understood what it meant to be infinite and forgotten in the same heartbeat. The world folded. A great white light consumed everything. I felt myself stretch, not outward but inward, as though my soul were a corridor being walked by something vast. And in that corridor, the last of my thoughts echoed. I am seen. When I awoke, I was back in the alley. The archway was gone. The marble was dust in my hand. The air was cold and ordinary. Yet around me, the world no longer held its colors correctly. Whites were too deep, shadows too alive. Somewhere in the distance, I heard the faint rustle of something jointed, moving just beyond sight. Days have passed, or weeks, I cannot tell. The mirror refuses my reflection. My skin has grown pale, almost translucent, and when I press my palm to my chest, I feel a hum, soft and distant, familiar. At night I dream of the white forest. I see the mantis gliding through the endless trees, carrying within its body the constellations of everything it has loved, everything it has consumed. And among those constellations, a new star burns. Mine. Sometimes, I think I can still hear it calling. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I answer.